Hello, Tracy Schellenberg. I am so happy to have you with me today and be able to ask you some questions about your journey so far. Maybe if you could just start by telling us, well, how long you've been in Plexus, but why you got started and a little bit more about that whole introduction process.
Yeah, sure. I've been doing Plexus now for 4 years. And I got started because of a friend of mine who I saw posting about Plexus on Facebook. And the stories that she was sharing were incredible. And um, I wasn't sure that it was for me because I didn't have any health problems. So the stories she was sharing were, people that had pretty serious health issues and that kind of stuff. And so I thought, wow, this could really help a lot of people. But I don't really probably need it because I don't have any health problems. I go to the doctor and they kick me out and say, there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean? So um, I didn't think I needed it. Not only that, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about natural health products at all. I grew up more in the medical side of things. My mom was a nurse, my grandma was a nurse. I have aunties who are nurses, that kind of thing. So I knew nothing. None of them use natural products. Like I knew nothing about it. So I had someone come into my life who did use a lot of natural health products, and that didn't help the case for those things because it felt like she was constantly trying new products and never sticking with any of them. And so I thought, well, these must not work because she's always looking for something that will work better or whatever. And so that's what my experience was with that. That's about all I knew. But once my friends started sharing these stories about these products, I really didn't know even what Plexus was at all until after I talked to her about it. But yeah, I thought, well, okay, if Plexus works so great for people that have health problems, what could it do for me? And I didn't know the answer to that. And I knew that the only way for me to find out was to try it. And I was skeptical. And if nothing else, I could prove that that I didn't need them. Right. So I thought I would try them. And part of my story here too, is that I knew with where we were financially, we couldn't really afford to be adding anything to our budget. And so my friend told me right away about Plexus referral program. And so I thought, well, I have to try that because I want to try these products. And that's the way that I can do that. And so I did that. I started sharing with people right away about Plexus, even though I had no idea what it would do for me or anything like that. In fact, I had a couple people want to try them with me before I even started, like before I even got my first package in the mail. So that was exciting. That was really exciting. But so anyways, I get the products in the mail. I start them. Basically, one of the first things that I noticed was I had energy in my days. And that was something that almost everybody experiences, right? Is being tired a lot, feeling like you're trying to keep yourself awake at your desk in the afternoons, that kind of thing. When Plexus came to me, I was about 6 months postpartum after my third baby. So I mean, I was tired, but even before that, I was tired. You know what I mean? It wasn't the baby necessarily. She was sleeping through the night. She was fine. I should have been fine, but I was still trying to get that nap every day if I could and stuff. So, yeah, that was the first thing I noticed was I had energy for my days. I wasn't feeling like I needed a nap. And then over time, I noticed several other things. One being I started sleeping better. I used to have a horrible time falling asleep and getting back to sleep if I woke up. Almost anything would wake me up too. So it was a really bad combination there, but I started sleeping better. I mean, it probably takes me less than a minute to fall asleep most nights. And I have no problem falling back asleep if I do wake up and that kind of thing. So that's life changing right there, as well as the energy. I used to have headaches almost every day, and I used to work when I worked full time, I worked in an office where I was under fluorescent lighting and I was working on a computer. So I kind of just thought it was probably normal for me to have headaches a lot because of that. But I wasn't getting them as much when I was home on maternity leave, but I was still getting them pretty regularly. So that started improving as well. I started getting headaches less often. So, and what else? Let me think. I was pretty addicted to sugar, I would say, especially chocolate. So I had cravings pretty bad. And that over time got better as well. I just found that I wasn't craving that stuff as much anymore. And not only that, but also I started like craving and enjoying healthier foods more. So that was a huge thing for me. And also, you know, if a dessert was put in front of me, I could control myself. So that was huge too. I feel a lot more freedom with food than I have ever had in my life. So that's a pretty big thing for me. Those are the more major ones. I mean, also like more stable mood and emotions, that kind of thing is a lot better as well. But a lot of little things too, like my nails are stronger, my hair grows faster, and you know, stuff like that. I've also had 2 pregnancies since being on Plexus, and that was different as well, you know, less aches and pains and things like that. It was a lot better, more healthy pregnancies. That's a whole
yeah, we're going to get into your pregnancies later, but I just
yeah,
find this really interesting because it's like you felt perfect, right? You felt good, you were good, but you were really tired and you had cravings and you had daily headaches. And isn't it interesting that we think all these things are normal and that we think that there isn't anything better?
Yeah.
So kind of going back to that first maybe 6 months, how quickly did things shift for you? How soon did you notice? You mentioned energy pretty quickly, but what else?
Yeah. So the energy came within a few days. I was starting to feel more energy. I would say that the sleeping and the cravings probably over the next couple of months got better. And the headaches as well, just kind of gradual. It wasn't like all of a sudden I'm completely different. You know, everything was pretty gradual, other than the energy. So, and I hesitate
which
to
products
say.
then? Which products did you start with, Tracy?
I started with ProBio, BioCleanse, and Slim. Yeah, and then I added X Factor in the first, probably like month 2 or 3. I added X Factor. Yeah, and that's still what I take now. The only other thing that I take other than that now is like regularly is, I mean, I take Ease basically just as needed. I take Active occasionally. You know, if I didn't sleep well, I have an 8-month-old who is not consistently sleeping through the night. So if I had a bad night where he was up a lot and I went to bed late or something, I'll take an Active with my Slim in the morning. But yeah, that's what I take every day, essentially.
Okay, so in those first few months, then you said you helped some people start on their journey toward health.
Yeah.
Actually, before you got your product. So can you share a little bit about what that looked like in that first time period, whatever that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I found that there was a lot of people that needed Plexus because, as I quickly found out, there was a lot of things that I was dealing with that I thought were normal that I wasn't having to deal with anymore. And so yeah, there was lots of people that were interested and were wanting to try the products with me, and that kind of thing. So really the only shipment that I paid for out of my own pocket was my very first one. And otherwise, every single one has been paid for, at least paid for, if not, you know, have an excess of that. So My husband also started on the products after a couple of months. He was seeing some of the changes in me and recognizing, oh, wow, I don't have a whole lot of energy either. And so he got started as well. And now my kids take the vitamins as well. So we are completely paying for all of that. Plus as well, since I was on maternity leave when I started Plexus, I started thinking, well, you know what? I've got 3 kids now. I don't really want to be paying for childcare for 3 children when I go back to work. So I was thinking, well, I should just keep sharing with people because, hey, maybe I could at some point not have to work full time and be with my kids at home.
So
So
just let me clarify, Tracy. You started the products 5 months postpartum. Is that what you said?
that was about 6 months. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
between 5.5 and 6, somewhere in there. Yeah.
And in that first 6 months, you were creating enough income to not go back to work?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say next. So what I found is that by the time I needed to go back to work, I had replaced my full-time income completely. So I did that. I stayed home. I didn't go back to work. I was able to stay home with my kids. And that was huge for them too. I mean, not for me too, but for them big time. I've noticed a difference in our relationships and that kind of thing, being able to be home with them. So I feel like our family life is a lot healthier that way. But yeah, and so since then too, I mean, my income has tripled even since that or something. I don't know. Uh, so it's been a huge blessing for our family to not have to feel that stress of money. All the time, and also health wise too, right? Our whole family is healthier. Actually, the one thing I forgot to mention too is our immune systems are so much better now. Like, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've been sick or had a cold in the last 4 years. So that's a big deal. And our kids hardly ever get sick too. Jesse, my husband, he worked in an office with a lot of people, so he got sick a lot, and he doesn't as much anymore either. So that's another big thing that has changed for our family as well.
That is absolutely huge. And I don't think I said at the beginning, but Tracy is not my direct sponsor, but second up. And she's a jewel in Plexus. So for us, that's a really big deal. And we really, really appreciate the opportunity on the business side that gives us to share with people and help them make a decision that they don't have to have just plan A, that there is a plan B available. Now, we've talked a little bit about that. I'd like to go back to the pregnancies because you have had more babies since you started Plexus. And I'd like to hear about the differences you noticed, what you were taking, what you noticed, postpartum, all those pieces.
Sure. Yeah. Well, my 3rd pregnancy was horrible. They seem to just get worse every time. And so I was not anticipating having a 4th pregnancy when I was pregnant with my 3rd, or even shortly after, because it was so bad. And then and then that changed over time. So I became pregnant, and that pregnancy was probably my healthiest one that I've had. Healthier weight gain, not as much cravings. I did sleep better. I mean, I still got up to pee. You still have to do that when you're pregnant. Yeah. I still had some morning sickness and that kind of thing. But yeah, just generally I felt better. I didn't have back pain. That was a big thing for my other pregnancy, whereas back pain, I didn't have that as much, things like that. So it did make things a lot easier to deal with during pregnancy, especially because I did have 3 other children already.
Right.
Yeah.
Pregnancy number 4 was the first Plexus pregnancy.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Postpartum, I found it made a huge difference as well. I mean, I was still tired, but I could function really a lot better. I wasn't as tired as I had been with my other kids. Emotionally, I was able to handle things a lot better during pregnancy, but especially postpartum. I noticed that was a huge difference for me. So those are probably, I also felt like I was, like I healed up a lot faster. My body recovered faster from pregnancy and labor and delivery. So that was a big piece for me as well. I didn't change a whole lot of what I was taking during pregnancy, aside from I took extra of the X Factor. I used that as my prenatal vitamin, but I took double the dose during pregnancy. Your body just needs more of everything when you're pregnant. So that made sense for me to do that. I did feel better when I took 4 a day versus 2. So that was worth it for me. I didn't have that kind of icky feeling, which I can't explain, but anybody that's been pregnant probably knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. So that made a difference. The only other thing that I took differently as well was I took Ease every day instead of just as needed. I wanted to prevent those aches and pains and swelling and all of that. So I started taking it, I think month 5 or 6 every day. And then I just kind of slowly increased the dose over those last few months as needed kind of thing. So I think I ended up taking 6 a day for the last month or so. The odd time, if I needed to, I would take more than that. I wasn't shy in doing that if I needed to. But that was a big thing for me, was being a lot more comfortable in my giant body, my giant belly days.
It was not so big as before, actually, because I saw pictures.
That's true. It's true. It wasn't as big. Like I said, healthier weight gain during that pregnancy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then pregnancy after that?
Yes. So my 5th pregnancy, I will admit, I'm not going to lie to anybody, it was not quite as good as my 4th pregnancy. But I'm also getting older, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I've heard many women say once you're in your 30s and you have babies, it's a lot harder than when you're in your 20s, and it's true. But yes. So anyways, I did find, though, it was better than it was pre-Plexus. There was a couple of things that I struggled with a little bit more than I did with my 4th pregnancy. I did find my emotions were a little bit more off during my last pregnancy, and wasn't as bad as it used to be, but wasn't quite as good as the pregnancy before. The energy still was great. Yeah, I had a little bit more pain in my feet. So my feet were sore a little bit more than they had been the last time. But yeah, otherwise, like, same thing. My back pain was better still. I was still sleeping pretty good, so it was still a lot better than pre-Plexus, I would say.
And did you adjust your supplement regime any on that 5th pregnancy to kind of accommodate the increased resources that you might need, or the challenges with absorption as we change?
I did play around with it a little bit. Sorry, I'm just gonna, my 2-year-old's knocking at the door. I'm just gonna, hi, do you want to sit with me? Okay. So I did play around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I did find there was some things that I could do that would help a bit. But I mean, obviously you can't get rid of everything. So yeah,
totally.
So I did tweak some things a little bit, and did find some improvement there. But yeah.
And then what about nursing? Because lots of people ask us, can we take these things when we're nursing, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I definitely, that's something that I asked before I even started Plexus, because I was, 6 months postpartum. So I was nursing at the time that I started Plexus, and my friend did assure me right away, yes, you can take these during breastfeeding, no problem. And in fact, I know a lot of people that have found nursing easier on Plexus. It helped, their supply is better and that kind of thing. So I wasn't worried about that. And I actually didn't even really research that at all at that point. I did later, but, but yeah, I was not concerned about that at all. I had never really had supply issues, and I was still fine that way while I was taking Plexus as well. So no issues there. Yep.
Cool. So 5 kids, all taking Plexus.
Yeah.
Very few illnesses, very few colds, viruses, any of them. That's a blessing for the past year. That's really a blessing.
It is. Yeah.
So, and your income now is 5-figure?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a blessing.
Yeah.
What about a culture fit in terms of how did you find it? How long, like, what I'm thinking about is people sometimes feel it takes a lot of time to add on a second business. It takes a lot of energy. They have to know everything. Like, what would you say to somebody in terms of that side of it?
Well, you definitely don't have to know everything, because I knew nothing. So that's one thing that I found Plexus to be really great about too, is that you don't have to know a whole lot. I mean, if you're interested, you can learn whatever you want to learn. I've learned a lot about natural health products and gut health, obviously, since doing Plexus. But that's never been a requirement. We do work together. And so there's a lot of times when I was able to just work with my sponsor in helping me to share with people when I didn't have the answers. And we do that still, just because I'm 4 years in doesn't mean I know everything. And we still are not, we're not lone wolfers. You know what I mean? Like, we work together, we work as a team. And I love that. The community that we've built together has been amazing. So it's like having more family, essentially. And as far as time goes, honestly, there have been phases throughout this 4 years where I have not been able to do Plexus or to share with people as much as I would have liked. We also homeschool our kids, so that's another factor for us. And we just moved and so there's lots of things. Life happens. And so that's another great thing about this business as well, is that if you do have phases that you can't put in as much as you'd like to, which, don't get me wrong, it's not like you have to put in hours and hours a day, as far as what you put into it, it's a lot less than a full-time job. But if you have phases where you can't do as much, it's okay. And your business doesn't collapse under you while you're gone, because you do work together with people. And Plexus is built in such a way that you can do that, and it won't just crash and burn in a month, or even
right.
Yeah. So the residual income thing is
it's actually real.
It is real. Yeah, it is real. Yeah.
So if somebody was kind of in your position, like you were 4 years ago, kind of looking, kind of thinking, might be worth trying. I've maybe got some friends that could feel better. Maybe I could feel better. But money is a bit of a stretch. What kind of suggestions would you give them?
I would just say start sharing with people immediately. I mean, like I said in the beginning, Plexus does have a great referral program. And actually, they've, over the last year especially, even stepped that up even more to help people financially. I mean, nobody's going to deny that this last year has been trying in many, many ways. And so instead of pulling back, they're actually stepping up and helping people even more to become financially stable. And so, I would just say, go for it. Like, you don't have to wait until you've been on the products for 3 months before you say a word to anybody. You can, in fact, I have had people that before they even sign up, they're sharing with people, so that when they sign up, when they buy their membership, they're ready to go with people already, so that they immediately are making an income before they, before they've even put in a dime. So that's a really smart thing to do if you want to do that, if you're in that situation. There are definitely ways that you can do this without putting yourself and your family at risk financially, for sure. There's not a whole lot to lose there. So
I totally agree with you, Tracy. And I know our team offers some wonderful resources in terms of inviting people. Hi, sweetheart. Inviting people on to have a look and to learn more and so on, because we're really here to help people feel better, both health-wise and more financially secure. So
yeah,
really appreciate you sharing this morning, this afternoon, whenever somebody's watching this, Tracy.
yeah.
And is there anything else that you would just like to say to somebody that's watching, be there somebody that's already started Plexus or somebody that's just thinking about it?
Well, the one thing I would say is whether you're already taking Plexus or whether you're thinking about it, you've just had somebody send this your way, is if you do try, or if you are trying, stick with it. This is not magic beans. This is not fairy water. I will quote our wonderful friend that she says that all the time. This is not one of those flash in the pan fads where you're promised overnight health. This is a long-term thing, right? Many people have been dealing with health issues for years and years and years. And so it is unrealistic to expect that Plexus will fix all of your problems in a couple of months or even a year, in some cases. So, I mean, it's not going to fix all your problems anyway, but you know what I'm saying?
Sure helps.
Definitely doesn't promise to do that. But yeah, just that's a big thing to me. For me, if I find something that works for me, I stick with it. And I found that not everybody thinks the same way that I do. So that would be my biggest thing is your friend who shared this with you, they're your friend, and they're not sharing something with you because they're I don't know, being devious or I don't know. They're trustworthy. They're your friend. You trust them, and that's why that's one of the reasons why I started Plexus, was because I trusted my friend. I trusted that what she was saying about Plexus and about what it was doing for other people was true. And it was, and it is, and so really there's no reason not to go for it. And I'm not saying you have to take it for the rest of your life, of course, but I'm just saying stick to it and trust the process and work with whoever it is that shared this with you. That was a big part of my story too, is being willing to work with her and allow her to show me what to do as far as sharing it with other people, as far as, I'm taking this is what my, tweaking products and that kind of thing. And I'm pretty independent that way. I like to do a lot of my own research too. And then that's fine. But if you're not that kind of a person, just don't be shy in saying what you need help with or whatever. So yeah, those two things, I guess. Stick with it and work with your friend, whoever shared this with you, to help you get the best out of it.
Yeah, I think that's so important, Tracy. It's sort of like the product can't help you if it's on the shelf. You ought to take the product. You got to drink your water or it isn't going to be able to do its work. And you need to stay in contact with the person that's coaching and guiding and helping you, because they have ideas that you don't have any idea may exist yet. So
yeah,
awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy, for your wisdom. We really appreciate that. And you have an awesome day.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thanks for having me.